We are joined by a leading counter-trafficking actor in Thailand and the ASEAN region. Police General Tamasak Wicharaya has been recognized and awarded by the Prime Minister of Thailand for his counter-trafficking achievements and as a key contributor to Thailand's significant accomplishments in countering trafficking. He is currently an expert advisor to Thailand's Anti-Trafficking in Persons Committee, following his many roles, including as director of the Center for Child, Woman, Families, Prevention and Suppression of Human Trafficking and Fisheries Sector in the Royal Thai Police, and the executive director of the International Law Enforcement Academy, or ILEA, in Bangkok, a law enforcer by heart and by profession. Welcome, Police General Tamasak Wicharaya. How are you today, sir?
Fine, thank you.
The ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, or the ACT, is an important legal framework for the region to combat human trafficking. But what does the ACT mean for those on the front line, for police officers, for social workers, or for border officials?
Yes, I would say active is regional, and I would say active is one of the conventions that is strengthen ASEAN response compared to other regions of the world in response to UN TOC and to anti-trafficking protocol. For the front line, I think is not easy for people who are working in the front line. 2007, you help ASEAN to adopt a practitioner guidelines.
Yes.
The first one,
yes,
prior to active, is important for the update in 2018. And you finish the second update on practitioner guideline. That's the key. This contribution for other countries, I'm not sure, but for Thailand, is help speed up for the front line to recognize active and to take active into practice through anti-trafficking legislation of Thailand, as well as the regulation that is designed to comply with.
You have played a key role in advancing and improving Thailand's responses to human trafficking, not only Thailand's, but also in ASEAN. As you have said, the ASEAN Practitioner Guideline, you've been involved there. How has the ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking in Persons, helped you and Thailand in general to make advances against human trafficking?
I would say it is important that active has been ratified and signed by our Prime Minister. Our law legislation are mandatory for National Committee and all relevant, particularly Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, who are secretariat to this work, are required to comply to international convention, including UN TOC active anti-trafficking protocol, and in our region is quite strong that ASEAN committed themselves to work with us. We have what we written in our legislation, our regulation, and plan of action, and annual plan to respond to this serious type of crime. And is it one of the kind? I think one of the best in of the region in the world to put this into practice. And I would like to emphasize that this is the strength of our region to adopt such a move.
Yes.
I would say this is something that we are attempt to comply.
Yeah.
In many discrepancies in our legislation, we are exploring possibility of amending our legislation to comply with this, and it's kind of our attempt to transfer our technical assistance from ASEAN that we adopted together into our practice under our legal system.
Yep.
There are many ways. The most important concept that this practitioner guideline and plan of action stress is how we see potential victims of tip and forced labor and many other type of serious exploitation. They are ways to understand potential victim and how to find indicator that they would be presumed victim, and when they are ready to be identified formally with adequate information, evidence from fact-finding, and when they are ready, when they are through reflection period of time, that they would be able to tell us fact what happening with the people. That is the key concept that Thailand attempt to maybe amend our protection requirement in our temporary protection requirement in our legislation. But the concept actually put into our plan of action, and it's been also adopted into our national referral mechanism from the frontline response to initial potential victim screening process, develop our SOP and reflection period, and make it very precise that the MDT would be able to start their identification procedure when the people are ready to tell us the fact. So that is something that is very complicated, and we are put it into our national referral mechanism, all tied together within the bigger umbrella. And we use a toolkit that we call plan of action. And we put all those together with case management for the police, protection, fact-finding, and also how to monitor and evaluate our action on national referral mechanism. I think this concept is one of the best in the region right now.
As you know, over the past 5 years, we have seen great progress in implementing the ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children in Thailand and the region. You have already said that victim support is one of the challenges, but what are the other challenges? What are some of the ongoing challenges to full and consistent implementation of the ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking?
The recent new normal that affected by COVID-19, and in conjunction with technological disruption, trafficking person changes their type, their way of criminality. Organizational structure of TOC, transnational organized crime, employ a lot of online activities.
Yes.
Thailand have been in the past 7 years, inbound and transit trafficking quite a lot.
Mhm.
We have been a hub of transportation. We've been a hub of labor. We've been a hub of economic development. But don't believe we discovered and have to confront online activity. And we see a rise of outbound labor trafficking of the Thai citizen to Cambodia.
Thailand, a source country.
Source country.
Yeah.
And we rescued in the past 6 months more than 600 Thai citizens from Cambodia. And now to
that's a lot.
And now to Philippines.
Yes.
The law enforcement adapt their way of investigation technique, online investigation, and it helps. But we cannot work alone. We have to work with our neighboring law enforcement, Cambodia.
Yes.
We thank them, and now we have to work with Philippine police.
The convention, at least for ASEAN, would be able to really support any effort of international cooperation in handling trafficking in persons cases in ASEAN. Other actors would be involved. And my next question would be somehow related to that, General. As an expert advisor in the National Subcommittee on Anti-Trafficking, responsible for leading the coordination of responses of trafficking, why is it important to work with a broad range of government and non-government actors?
We adopt this working framework since 2015, that we are going to work with international law enforcement, international non-profit organization, and so forth. Most important thing that we have to work with all related government agencies, because at the government level, the concern about trafficking response to solve the problem is such a broad concept, and solving the problem requires a long range of process from one agency to another agency. It's like assembly line, from origin, mid stream, and the lower stream of a process. You can say front line. And the most important thing is those related agencies need to work as a team at the very beginning of the process. That's why we have a national referral mechanism written out and plan of action written out clearly, so that frontline will be working in team. MDT have to step in at a certain very early stages of screening, fact-finding, victim identification, providing temporary assistance, and so forth. And it's difficult to let the high level to translate all the practice to frontline. But Thailand adapt this way of working together. And if we find ways of best practice, good model, technical transfer, and what has been best in practice in other countries, we are ready to take it into consideration and find way of adopt that good practice and put it into work.
Thank you, Police General Tamasak Wicharaya, for your strong advocacy of the active. We hope this provides great insight for our audiences. Change can happen with one conversation at a time. Thanks for joining Conversations with Chem. Until next time.